Um, okay, hello and welcome to my presentation. I'm studying broadcast journalism, and I studied it last year as well in ISM. So here's a little bit about me. I am a senior here at Frisco High School. I'd like to say I'm caring, persistent, dedicated, and passionate. I've been in NHS since the beginning of last year. Let's see, I volunteer with Frisco Miracle League. I'm kind of in student council. I go to the meetings, but I don't really have a high up position. And I volunteer at Scottish Rites, but I'm only a junior volunteer, but this summer I'm going to be 18, so I'm going to be an actual volunteer. And I've done that since this summer after freshman year. I want to attend the University of Nebraska, Missouri, or Syracuse for their advanced journalism classes. And then here's why I'm in ISM. The field I'm interested in getting into, the field that I'm interested in getting to learn about through this year in my independent study mentorship class is broadcast journalism. And I'm an ISM 2 student, so I kind of have background on it from last year, and then I'm just building up this year. ISM will give me a chance to discover skills that I never knew I even possessed, get a head start on my career, and touch the lives of others faster than I would have ever imagined. Broadcast journalism is a journalist who broadcasts live news of various topics on the television or the radio. I'm looking into sports or news, but as of right now I'm kind of leaning towards sports because it's a lot easier and more fun, more in my field. This was my mentor last year. Her name's Brittany Lynn. She was more of the public relations kind of aspect, so I sat there with her and I worked through all of the social media, and she asked me to come up with an idea on how to get more followers on Instagram and more followers on Twitter, because all of the players, they have tons of followers, but the actual Texas Legends account, they have none. And she taught me how to take photos correctly with certain cameras, which they're mostly action shots. In the games, we would get there at 5 and we wouldn't leave until 10:30, 11. And that was if I didn't go into the truck where they were editing all of the segments. She helped me get on a radio talk show with one of the Legends workers. Her name was Robin, and I got to go on there and interview with Dwayne Price. So that was really fun, and it was really scary at the same time because I was on air, and they made me ask questions. It's like, I did not know I had to do this. I worked with Travis, who's the broadcast journalist for the Legends, and I got to interview players, which was really fun, and then also the coach, which was more challenging because he's very hard-headed and out there. I got to write an article for the official Texas Legends website last year over one of the players. It was really cool. I got to interview him, and we were sitting in the Legends office on a couch. It was kind of awkward at first because he was a shy person. He was new to the team. He had just switched over at semester from North Carolina, I believe. And so he was kind of taking a break from college and just started with the D-League. So he was really shy. These are some of the interviews from last year. So I interviewed with Emily Jones, and she told me I had to be persistent and aggressive, and that would give me a ton of connections. She inspired me to take sports into consideration because her personal experience with news, she had a report on a bus crash, and it had a bunch of kids in it, and she had a report on it with a complete straight face, and she couldn't do it. After that, she quit. She's always wanted to be a journalist. She told me I have to put in time to earn my stripes, that it's not just handed to me on a silver platter. I actually have to work for it from the beginning. And that television isn't going anywhere. It'll only get bigger and better. Last year as well, I interviewed Tom Grieve and Steve Busby in the same day as I interviewed Emily Jones. They told me to be well prepared and know the subject like the back of your hand, take speech classes for self-confidence build-up, and believe what you say, and it's extremely difficult to get involved with and take every opportunity offered. Neither one of them thought about getting involved with sports broadcast. They're both just announcers for the Rangers, but they never thought about it because one of them was they were both ex-players, and they were just offered it a month after. And they're like, hey, will you take this job reporting on baseball? And they're like, well, I love baseball, so sure. Then I interviewed with an executive producer. She produces every 4, 5, 6, and 8 o'clock news showings. Before getting her job, she sent out 169 resumes right after she graduated, and she only got one call, which she got $8 per hour, and that was it. And she said that you have to start out like that. When I've interviewed with a ton of different people, they've all started with that, because you can't just get up there. You have to start with a little basics and be in kind of a local news station. She said you must live and breathe news. It's your life. Journalism always makes an impact. Certain news segments stick with you for life in a negative, haunting kind of way, just like Emily Jones had said with the bus crash. And she covered Big D NYE last year and the JFK 50-year memorial, which she worked on a year in advance. And over the summer, I worked with Dana Larson for Spock Sports Southwest. She taught me the basics on camera and how to prepare for a segment on a specific sport. I got to work with her and then Pudge Rodriguez, which was really cool. And Pudge was kind of newer at it, so I kind of relied on Dana more. She was really sweet, and I interviewed with her at the end of summer I interviewed with her, and I worked with her 6 times, I think. And each segment, she told me each segment you have to take pages and pages of notes. She would sit there in front of her TV with her husband, and she would have spirals and spirals of games. To be successful on TV, you have to make it seem like sports talk is your second language. In other words, know every sport like the back of your hand and be able to have relaxed conversations on camera. It can't seem staged. You have to know what you're talking about. You can't just refer to your notes over and over. And then Scott Brissell was my first interview this year, officially in ISN. He enjoys his job as a reporter for the Dallas Cowboys, but the hardest part is the long and hard hours. They just went to England not too long ago, and they were there for 2 weeks, just reporting over the Cowboys and everything. And I interviewed with his wife too, because I got to meet up at his wife's dance studio, and she just talked about how it's kind of hard because he's never, like, he gets days off, but he can't really be with the family because he's always gone for his job. Brad Sham, I got to interview with him, and he went to Missouri, so that was really fun because he got to tell me about his college experiences and also about how he got up there to where he's at now. He was the most experienced person I've interviewed with so far. He actually had the chance to cover the Winter Olympics of 1996 for Time Warner Cable. So he said that was really difficult, but it was worth it. And his second biggest accomplishment was covering a NASCAR race. He had no clue what went on in NASCAR. He's from Chicago. He had no clue what NASCAR was. He had to learn all the basics. He had to get everything done. And his first segment he hosted was not good, but he had to keep building up from that. He's definitely learned along the pathway of his journey of being a broadcast journalist. And then I actually made a mistake with him and brought up the Cowboys game the night before that we lost. And I told him how my dad reacted to it, and he kind of told me that he gets heated when a fan jumps on the bandwagon of a sports team or when they expect the team to be perfect, because they're just like every other team. They have to lose at some time. So that was really awkward to recover from. And then my most recent one was Gina Miller. The weirdest part was in the middle of our interview, we were at Corner Bakery, 2 people came up to her and were like, I miss seeing you on TV, because she just ended with CBS. And she explained how you can't walk into a broadcast job knowing everything. You have to learn as you work. Her first job, she was given a camera and told to go shoot action photos. And she had no clue how to use it. She had to discover everything on her own right then and there. And then 2 research assessments that I really like. The first one is over Mike Wallace's death. The most feared words for almost a century were Mike Wallace is here. He created 60 Minutes and successfully kept it going for several years. He was involved with one of the rarest types of journalism, investigative journalism. And not only is investigative journalism rare, it was also very difficult to get involved with and keep up with and be famous for it. And he made an impact on his fans that I can only hope to achieve, and he will forever be named as the modern father of journalism. This next one was over a black woman named Renee. She was hired in the 70s. I thought the story was really interesting because she had an afro, and all of the viewers would call in and say that she didn't look clean cut because of her afro, and they wanted her to have smooth hair, and it was distracting them from her work and her reporting. But her boss actually came up to her and said, "You're fired unless you get it fixed." And she said, "No, I'm not doing it. You can fire me all you want." And she still had the job. Like, he didn't do anything about it. So, and then my personal inspirations are Ariana Huffington. On Becoming Fearless has impacted my life as well as many other young girls to get out of their shy shells. The Huffington Post is amazing in its simple layout and complex stories. She helped me come over my fear of public speaking almost completely, but not really. Mrs. Webb was my second grade teacher. She was extremely intimidating, and she kind of inspired me to get involved with journalism, so she's had a big impact on my life. And then my quote is, "By giving us the opportunity of the uneducated, journalism keeps us in touch with the ignorance of our community," and that's from Oscar Wilde.